Hey, today we are going to be jumping into a topic that I just find so fascinating. And it's something that I have worked deeply on for myself, and it's what I focus on with my clients. Past, present, and future, and what that looks like when you are trying to step into your leadership at an even higher level, when you're trying to up level 10x or 2x. What does all of that look like? How is all of that intertwined? We're going to jump into a little bit of that today, and you're going to want to stick around because I have a giveaway and there's going to be some instructions for that. um, I am Angela W. Stillwell. I am the CEO and founder of Untapped Strengths, and I work with individuals just like you to turn you into the top 1% of leaders. And I work with teams to turn them into powerhouses. So, what am I talking about with this past, present, and future, and all of that kind of stuff? So this morning, I was actually listening to an interview with Dr. Benjamin Hardy and Ed Milet. And I was already planning on talking about this topic anyway. I've done some things with Dr. Benjamin Hardy over the last several months, and I've actually known about him and studied underneath him for quite some time. And he is a professor in, or not a professor, I guess he's a PhD in organizational change, and he works a lot with Dan Sullivan. And Dan, I actually was in one of Dan Sullivan's programs years ago when I owned a financial planning practice. So the web of all of this has been going on for a long time. Actually, that was back in the early 2000s when I was in Dan Sullivan's program, Strategic Coach, and I did that for I don't know 2 or 3 years and gained so many insights into that. And now Dr. Benjamin Hardy and Dan Sullivan have written several books together. And one of the books is 10x is easier than 2x, and how world-class entrepreneurs achieve more by doing less. And so this is the book that that Dr. Benjamin Hardy and Ed Milet were speaking to in the interview that I was listening to this morning. And, I've read the book, I've listened to the book, I did a course with Dr. Benjamin Hardy on the book before the book was released. And so I've done a lot around this because it fits so nice and neatly and tightly in with the work that I do with clients on how our mindset impacts everything that we do and what it looks like to truly be able to step into your leadership. And that's what they were talking about today. And so the past, present, and future. What does that have to do with any of this? So you've heard me talk about how your brain stores information, right? It automates thoughts and beliefs and impacts 90+% of every decision you make, action you take, and result that you get. Well, the past is informing your present, and then your present is creating your future. Okay, so those thoughts and beliefs from your past are informing what's happening right now, which is also informing your future, right? And so one of the things that they were talking about is how do you actually decide that your past doesn't define you? Because so many people walk around as if the things that happened in their past have completely defined anything that they can become, anything they can do, anything they can say, anything they can be. And that's just absolutely not the truth. Now, I'm not a believer in that you can be anything that you want to be. I mean, if you're 4 feet tall, the odds of you being able to slam dunk a basketball are very slim unless you're using a non-traditional, a non-standard basketball goal, right? Although there was Spud, who was 5'3" or 5'4", something like that, and he could slam dunk, but he was a phenom. And so the average person who is my height is not going to be able to do that. Okay. And if you're wondering how tall I am, Depending on who measures me, it's 5'2" to 5'3". We're going to go with 5'3". Okay. So I'm not a big person. I'm a tiny little person. So me being able to slam dunk probably is not going to happen. And I'm not worried about slam dunking. So I'm not worried about the fact that I can't. However, there's not a whole lot that I believe that I cannot do. And the reason for that is because I have done so much work on how my past is informing my present, which informs my future. All right. At some point, we get to take responsibility and decide, do we want what we're thinking about our past to have happened to us? One of the things that Tony Robbins talks about is, what if you can shift it from it happened to you to it's happening for you or happened for you? And one of the things that Dr. Benjamin Hardy says is, what if it's not even that? What if it has happened to inform you so that you can then use it to your benefit? How does it benefit you? How does it inform you so that it can benefit you? One of the stories that he tells is how his dad became a drug addict, and what that did to inform him, how that positively impacted him. And you guys have heard me tell my story about, growing up in an incredibly dysfunctional home, and, how that just made me strive that much harder to achieve things so that I could operate differently. Now, I've since learned that the way that I was going about it back then was working against the things that had happened, as opposed to saying, okay, how can this inform me? How does this inform me? Not that I'm going for the exact opposite any longer, because that didn't work either. Okay. But how does that inform me so that I can then make better decisions in my present that will impact my future? Right. And that's one of the things that in this book, 10X is easier than 2X, he really gets into. And, lots of people talk about doubling their money or doubling, their assets or doubling their net worth. And one of the things that the main focus of this book is, let's don't go for double. Let's don't go for double, because with double, there are a lot of different ways to get there. And so often the entrepreneur's brain or the entrepreneur, the creative's brain, whether you are working for a corporation and acting as if, right? Or you are an entrepreneur, a solopreneur, whatever that might look like. If you have a creative type brain and you're just talking about doubling, there are thousands, maybe even millions of ways that you can actually do that. However, when you're going after 10X, when you're 10 multiplying by 10 your result, that narrows, right? There are only a few ways to get you there. So there's fewer distractions. And the other thing that that they get into in this, one of the things that Dan Sullivan talks about is that when you're looking to double, the 80-20 rule, right? You get to keep basically 80% of what's in your life and make shifts around 20%. However, it's the reverse when you are going after that 10X mark. You get to release 80% of the things in your life. There's the catch. You get to release 80% of the things in your life so that you can go after that 20%. Now, listen, that's not easy. That's talking about people. That's talking about resources. That's talking about time. That's talking about everything, right? It's talking about how you spend your free time. How do you spend your work time? How do you spend your family time? You get to release 80% of the things that you are doing so that you can achieve that 20%. That's a tough cookie to crack, right? that takes on a whole new level of taking on 100% responsibility 100% of the time. Again, not because of blame, shame, and guilt. This is about, I have a purpose. I have a God-given purpose, and I'm going after that purpose with a vengeance, right? I'm going after it wholeheartedly. And that means I get to look around and say, okay, here's my whole picture. And obviously the picture is bigger than what I'm showing on the screen here, but here's my picture. There's 20%. Only 20% of this picture will get me to that 10x result. Is that something you're interested in? Is that something you're interested in? If you want to read more about it, I've actually got multiple copies of this book. So I'm going to give away 5 copies of the book. And here's what you need to do in order to get a copy. I need you to either put in the comments that you're interested in getting a copy, or send me a DM on whichever platform that you're watching this. This is going out on YouTube. It's going out on Facebook. It's going out on LinkedIn and maybe a couple of other places. So I'm going to pick 5 names from the people who either comment or send me a DM, and I'm going to send this book. So make sure that you comment or send me a DM, and then the team will get in touch with you, and we'll get your information so that we can get you your copy, a free copy of this book. Not even shipping. I'm not going to charge you shipping or anything. I'm going to send this to you because this book and the concepts in this book are foundational to you being a high performer, you being a high achiever, you getting to that next level. And it's foundational to the work that I do with my clients. And I loved that he wrote this book. I've been doing this work with clients for years. And when I read this, I was just like page after page after page. And when I was doing the workshop with him for 6 weeks, was that earlier this year or end of last year? I can't remember now. Before the book was published, we had early access to the book. And, it was just phenomenal being in his head and hearing so much from him. And I want to be able to share that with you. So make sure that you leave a comment or send a DM that you want to be one of the 5, and I'll pick 5. If they're more than 5, we'll do a drawing, and I'll let you all know who won the 5 copies, and to be on the lookout for it. Also, I've got some news coming up soon on something that's been on my heart. This past week, I was actually down in Miami for some meetings and working on a new community aspect that I am super excited about, that I'm going to be rolling out over the next several weeks. And so stay tuned for that. If you want to know more information about that, you can let me know also. And I would love for you to follow along. You can go to the link tree that is on the screen. It's Linktree, linktr.ee/AW Stillwell. You can actually book a call with me there if you are interested. Or just sign up to make sure that you're getting updates on what's coming up. So anyway, that's it for today. I want you to know that your past, it informs your present. It doesn't define it. Although the vast majority of people do allow their past to define their present and therefore their future. Don't be one of those people. That's not necessary. The things that happened to you in the past do not have to define who you are today. They don't have to. You guys, I am a walking, breathing, smiling example of that. Okay? And my clients, same thing. You don't have to be defined by your past. It can be released. It can be used to inform you and to be a foundation that you stand on to build from. Okay? And that's a beautiful thing. Doesn't matter what's happened in the past. And And many of us have had really ugly pasts. Okay. Doesn't mean that your present or your future has to also be ugly. Absolutely does not mean that. All right, that's what I've got for you today. I can't wait to hear from you in the comments and the DMs. Can't wait to send out a few copies of this book to some of you. I'm excited to share this with you, and I'm excited to make some announcements coming up soon on this community aspect. You know, I see what's happening so much around the world, and this is an opportunity to be able to serve so many more of you than I've been able to serve in the past, and I can't wait. So make sure that you go to Linktree and follow me there. You can actually subscribe to the Linktree itself, and updates will come through Linktree as well. Or you can go to the links. You can get signed up for a call. And I believe there are some other things that you can say. Oh, there's also the Warrior Wisdom quiz that you can take on there too. So anyway, that's a lot of call to actions. And normally I don't do that. I normally just tell you to do one thing. So let's focus on this one thing. I want you to put your name and some message that you want one of these 5 copies. Put that in the comments or send me a DM, and we will get with you and get your information and get these copies out to you. All right. Have an amazing rest of your day. I look forward to seeing you again soon. And that's it. Ciao.